we've got breaking news here that I want to get to our experts on because we've got a lot of Miami Heat and basketball experts around here. Shams and Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald say that the Miami Heat are open to listening to trade offers for Jimmy Butler. He is open to playing for Dallas, Houston, and Golden State. According to Shams, the Heat are open to listening to offers for Butler and making a deal if the proposal is right. League sources told ESPN and Butler's agent, Bernie Lee, has indicated in league circles that Butler is open to destinations such as two of the Texas teams, Houston and Dallas, and Golden State. He's a native of Houston. He's believed to want to win right now. Amin, among what's available, and Golden State is trying to get another star for Steph, that one makes a lot of sense, but I can't see Pat Riley making a trade that doesn't bring back someone who is better than Jimmy Butler, who makes his team better. I don't see Pat Riley playing for tomorrow so that Jimmy Butler gets to win now. So what do you see from among the packages that Houston and Dallas and Golden State would have that would make Miami either the same or better than they are right now without Jimmy Butler?
Well, all the teams that would want to acquire him are looking at him as an upgrade, right? As a missing piece to take them over the top. So you're not going to give away a foundational piece for the piece that's going to take you over the top because that just moves you back. The thing that Miami has to face, we could say that Pat Riley never takes a step back or whatever, but the reality that they're facing is that Jimmy Butler can opt out after this season. And so you're risking use it or lose it. So basically, maybe they're not going to get a player that's better than Jimmy Butler, but I can see them making a deal to get players, giving us more depth, giving us more options and flexibility.
I'm assuming that a third team would have to be involved because I'm assuming that Pat Riley is going to be as win now as Jimmy Butler is and as Steph Curry is.
Look, they're not win now as it is, right? We can agree to that. Miami, right now, you're not going to win now. Right? A deal can be done where it's not necessarily, hey, young guys, unproven guys, picks. A deal can be done where it's like, okay, we got a bunch of solid players to fill out our rotation, so we are still roughly in the same place as we were competitively. Maybe we got a couple assets on the side as well for the future. I think that is a possibility that's not a necessarily detonation, which is what Greg was asking. Don't they have to blow it up? I don't think they're going to blow it up, but I also don't think they're going to get a player as good as Jimmy Butler back in a deal right now.
It would have to involve a third team because but none of those other teams are going to give up a player better than Jimmy Butler to get Jimmy Butler.
But I'm saying that even with a third team, I don't think you're going to get like this amazing player out of it. I just
But
don't.
Dan is thinking then the deal won't happen because Riley isn't playing for tomorrow.
It is
He's
a
not playing for the
depreciated, but it
future.
is a depreciated asset from this respect. It's a very expensive contract. Mm-hmm. It is expiring. It's
a time bomb.
It might expire if he decides to opt out. And he's 35 years old. I don't know how much you're getting for Jimmy Butler.
It's the worst kind of time bomb, by the way, because if it expires and you're still holding it, blows up. We could have got something for him, right? If he doesn't opt out, meaning you got another year, you got to pay him $52 million next year. And how many of us, raise your hands if you think he's going to be better next year than he is this year?
Let's go out to our heat temperature room here where Jeremy Taché, a failed game show host, joins us to give us the Homerific perspective on the Miami Heat. What do you have? Certainly you don't agree that the Miami Heat are not in win-now mode, right? You don't agree with that, do you?
I think the Heat are pretty much always in win-now mode. The thing that's interesting is I don't think, Dan, that if a Jimmy Butler trade was made, that it would necessarily be to acquire another superstar right now. If you look at the teams, whether it's Golden State, Houston in particular, or Dallas, those teams would be sending back a variety of assets that my assumption would be the Heat would play through the rest of their season, giving some of these young guys, Jaime Jaquez would step right into the role that Jimmy Butler is playing offensively. They'd continue to have Bam and Tyler as those building blocks and then try to use all of those assets they acquire to make a move this offseason for another.
Oh, wow. You guys
superstar.
have them conceding the season.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's also, when you look at Shams' report, there's a huge difference when you're looking at language in all of these reports between listening to offers and pursuing offers. And Houston and Dallas and Golden State are names we heard this offseason that hey, Jimmy's open to being traded. Jimmy wants an extension. None of this is all that new in terms of the information that we already knew. It's just a matter of it being reported right now by Shams that's forcing us to have the conversation. Ironically, it's as the Heat are on their sort of best stretch of the season with wins in the last 3 games.
What Jeremy is saying is absolutely right. Listen to the verbiage, and the verbiage in these things matters every single time. The Heat are open to listening to offers for Butler and making a deal if the proposal is right. And then later on it says Bernie Lee has indicated in league circles that Butler is open to destinations such as the 2 Texas teams. So when you are talking like that, it isn't, like Jeremy said, it isn't like an aggressive, we got to move this guy, we got to do something. It is, okay, it's not a, hey, absolutely not, hang up the phone when you call asking about him.
I want more experienced veteran analysis. Izzy, what do you have here for us on what it is that we're talking about? Even though Jeremy has more information, he's got some other things that he wants to say. Greg Cote's contribution is to just drop his thermos.
I was like, what is
I wouldn't drop my thermos. What was that sound?
Izzy, what were you saying? What did you have to say about what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm always here for you, Dan. I'm here to say what Jeremy doesn't really want to say. This is old news, man. This has been out there for a minute. We've already known that the Miami Heat they'd be silly not to do this. They'd be a terrible team not to do this, an organization not to do this. The guy has told you he's going to be a free agent next year. You have to assess the situation. You have to see what teams are going to offer you. It doesn't mean that they're going to take anything. It also doesn't mean that they are not looking for other trades that don't involve Jimmy Butler, Dan. Other trades that would assure you they are in win-now mode. They're still assessing the situation. Their defense has looked a lot better. Amin told you that their offense has been in the top 10. They've basically switched and said, hey, if we're going to win, it's not going to be with 43s. It's going to be with defense that turns into offense. They're currently looking like that team that you don't want to face in a 7-game series. So nothing's been decided with Jimmy Butler, all due respect to Shams.
Jeremy, what you were saying I agree with, though. If you have Spo and Pat Riley, you ain't playing for tomorrow. And I don't even know if perhaps they should fold their hand because the gulf is so big between where the Celtics are and where they are that I'm not even sure that it's the wise thing to do, but I don't see Spo and Riley playing for tomorrow's.
I don't think that they are playing for tomorrow. I think that when you're looking at this conversation, it's about what might happen come the trade deadline, right? Like, this doesn't mean that there's some sort of trade that's imminent. It's bringing up a conversation that those teams are interested in Jimmy Butler, that Bernie Lee has said, hey, he'd be open if he's going to get traded to those few teams, that the Heat are willing to listen. But this is more likely than not the type of saga that plays out right until the trade deadline. And there's a long way to go in this season. If the Heat are 10 games over 500, playing great basketball, looking like a contender in their conference, maybe outside of Boston, more likely than not, Jimmy Butler stays. But if this whole thing falls apart, he's playing poorly, the team's playing poorly, Tyler Hero isn't playing at the all-star level that he's been playing thus far this season, and everything looks like it's coming to an end, it'd probably be beneficial to both parties to move on with a couple of months left in the season and go from there.
You're not close to where Boston is. You're not.
No, I mean, but that's my point. When you're saying Pat's not going to do a deal, I said it may not be up to him, right? Like, at this point, you can either hold on to this thing and just peter your way back to the play-in and maybe give someone a run for their money in the first round, or you can be proactive and start doing something that can impact next season and the seasons beyond.
The current iteration of the Heat is going nowhere. It's spinning its wheels. It's not gaining ground on the rest of the East. It's a gulf from Boston. You have to do something. The time is now. You have to get something for Jimmy Butler. There's no question.
The time is now.
The time is absolutely
right now.
The time. Not right now, but before the trade deadline. Yeah, absolutely.
The time is now. Before February. The time is now.
Yes.
Right now, trade Jimmy Butler. Stronger than Izzy, stronger than Amin, stronger than Jeremy. Greg Cote.
You have to get something for him.
Greg Cote.
Something better.
Long time. Well, that's different. Long time Miami Herald columnist Greg Cote is saying the time is now. Trade Jimmy Butler.
You have to get something for him
Right
before
now.
he becomes a free agent.
Right now.
I don't know why you're emphasizing right now. Obviously,
You
by
said it.
Obviously,
You said
by
the time
right-
is now. I'm quoting you.
Okay. By the way, I didn't drop my thermos.
The time is now.
He didn't. He didn't drop his
The
thermos.
time is before the trade deadline.
Okay,
Before
is
he
it
opts
now?
out
Is
for
the
free
time
agency.
now, or is the time February?
Okay, I'm not going to contribute to your foolishness.
That a boy.